Hello there, and welcome to the I Never Knew podcast, also known as Inc. This show dives into the life experiences of people who have been through it all and have come through the other side stronger, better, and triumphant. Each story is raw, authentic, and, at times, heartbreaking. One thing joins it all together: the fact that the stories can help the listener learn and grow. Hosted by life coach Maureen, she sits down each episode with a new guest who will empower the listener to set out on their self-discovery journey and start to heal. Now you'll be joined by Maureen and her special guest. Please enjoy the show.
Hello, listeners and YouTube viewers. So happy that you're here this week. I have an extra special episode today. I am Maureen Scanlon. I am your host of I Never Knew, But My Dog Did podcast, where we talk about resilience and overcoming, and we tell our stories for hope for others. I am also a master life coach, author, entrepreneur, and all the other good stuff. So I'm so happy that you all are here. Don't forget to hit the like and follow and leave those reviews. I cannot wait to tell you who's here today. And I say this, and I'm redundant and I'm repetitive, and I do not care. I bring you the best guests out there, because today I get to wear a couple of hats with my guest, and you'll see why. So my guest, Noah Nelson, is the CEO and founder of summerbreezejunkremoval in Phoenix, Arizona. He is an ambitious and hardworking young entrepreneur who started a company in an industry he's passionate about that helps people clean their environment by removing clutter and maintaining pride in their homes and businesses. With 6 years of experience in the industry, he's been praised by customers and fellow business owners alike for his stellar people skills and talent for networking and marketing. He is determined to change the way people view the service industry and the workers who perform such necessary tasks. And in his humble words, I am not a car salesman or a plumber. I am just your helpful and affordable junk guy. So without further ado, everyone, drum roll, welcome to my son, Noah Nelson. Welcome, honey.
What's up, guys? How's everybody doing? Super glad to be on your podcast, Mom. I couldn't think of a better podcast to be on.
Oh, I love you. You know, there are milestones in life, guys, where, you know, your children want you to be proud of them, but there's also this thing that they don't understand, that we want them to be proud of us too. And for him to start off his debut in podcasting with mine, it makes me feel so loved and proud. Now here, Noah, on I Never Knew, what we do is we start with what I call your knee story. And the knee story is, you know, that moment where you're just kind of on your knees saying, man, I am not happy in my life. This sucks. Things have to change. And very rarely do I have a guest that I know most of their knee stories. But in your words, I want to know, what was really a moment in your life? And I know there were many. You could talk about childhood, or you could talk about, you know, when you became an adult and said, what do I want to do? What am I passionate about? So tell us a moment in your life that was like this knee moment.
I mean, everything came clear the moment I decided to be a business owner. The minute I decided that, you know, it's time to leave where I'm at, that moment was, you know, I think about a year and a half ago. I was working at the car rental service after I quit my job helping another former friend building his business of junk removal. It's where I fell in love with it. I was on a no compete contract, so I had to find another job in a different industry. So I went ahead, found a job at Car Rental Center over by the airport here in Phoenix, And it just got to a point where I did not like the environment that I was working in. And it just hit me one day when I was I just felt miserable. I didn't like the people I worked with, didn't like the industry that I was in, didn't like how they ran things. Didn't like the drive, going there back and forth. It was further than I'm used to. And really, I was just driving and it just hit me that I was like, this is time. I don't care whether I'm on a no compete or not. I'm doing what I'm passionate about and what I truly love doing. That's junk removal. And I told myself, I'm going to start my junk removal business and I'm going to go ahead and take that leap. And about 6 months later, I filed, registered the LLC, worked for about 6 months with another company, did side jobs on the side. And about 3 months after that, I went full time, and now I'm doing what I love, and that's cleaning people's houses, helping my community, getting everybody out of situations that they shouldn't be in, or just your regular simple couch removal. Sometimes your grandma just needs to get a couch gone, and I'm the Superman to get it gone for them.
You took that leap of faith. And I think all business owners out there had that moment of, I just can't, I can't be in this soul sucking business of working for someone else, making money for someone else. We knew we had this passion to do what we were good at, but we had no idea. We had the why, but we didn't know the how. Now, I'm going to disagree with you that your timeline of falling in love with junk removal happened just a few years ago, because I'm going to share, as a little boy, my son, he loved the hunt. He loved finding treasures. We lived in Mesa, Arizona, and behind us, we had like a strip mall, and there were businesses, and they would get rid of their junk. And this little man, brings home at 12 years old, I think you were 12, this 10-foot, 100-pound table, lugging
I was 15. Yeah, I was 15 years old. That's right. It was huge. It was 12 feet long. It was a tile desk that some company had in the back that they used for a work table, and I thought it'd be a great work table for the garage.
And you did, and he made the garage into this little man cave, and he put like a something else he had found, like a pool table light up there. It was just fantastic, and it's something that I love. I love that people are passionate about things and they don't realize how the timeline of when you became passionate. I mean, I was passionate about helping people when you'd bring your friends home and they were, upset about something, and I'd sit down and talk to them, but I didn't know I'd make a business out of it, but I knew my why and that I was passionate about it. And so what I love, Noah, something that I talk about often on the podcast, is how your generation, Gen Z and Millennial, and even now Gen A, coming up the rear, you guys are bigger risk takers. Now, I grew up, your grandparents had me in this job for 40 years. They're miserable, and that's what you do until you get to finally retire and enjoy life. What do you think you do differently and your generation does differently that makes you take this leap at such a much younger age than we did?
Man, it's really, because for me that's a 50-50 question, because half of the people my age just want to find that really great job and want to do what everybody's been doing, and then really the other half, and I would say 10 years ago, I'd say only about 10% of us were doing that. In Lacey or my older sister's generations, about 10% people were trying to start businesses, and I'd say about half of us are doing it now. And I just think it's really just influence. Really, I really think a lot of influence I've had a different aspect of that, where I had been in a situation where I was basically running a business, but I wasn't the owner. So I got to experience a little bit of freedom, and I got to experience a lot of things most people my age don't get to, especially at like 21. I mean, I was 21 years old and I was taking phone calls while I was sitting on my kayak fishing. So, I mean, that for me was like, another eye opener of why I wanted to be, possibly start my own business. And back then I always thought I just wanted to manage and not own my own business, not knowing what how hard I was shorting myself as far as not getting the rewards of being the business owner, which you don't get those till, you know, later down the road. But I don't know. It really comes down to influence and people seeing that it is doable. And, you know, people back in the day didn't have all this footage on social media because it wasn't around to show that it is doable. It is possible. You can do it. It does not matter how old you are. It does not matter how lack of experience you have in something. If you want it, you got it, you go get it. And that's where I feel, you know, in today's society, everybody feels like they're stuck in a box. And I think COVID really had a big thing in that. Because everybody was stuck in this box before they were in COVID, and then they were physically stuck in their houses. And I really think it pushed a lot of young kids being like, I don't want to sit down and do this or do an office job. I want to go do something that I enjoy. People are making it work during that time. And the minute COVID ended, I think everybody just really took the step forward and knowing that, you know, I mean, we have resources. We have more resources than anybody's had. I mean, it takes a second. Anybody can start a handyman business just off of probably like 6 months worth of YouTube videos. You can sit there for 6 months, 4 months probably, and it really depends on how long you're doing it for. But we just have all these resources, and I think our generation just has, you know, we acknowledge that. We acknowledge that we have these tools, and people are making moves on it, and kids are understanding that, you know, my parents don't look happy, you know, at retiring after their job. You know, they wish they would have been younger and had more freedom. And
Yeah.
we're the generation making that move and saying, if my dad said or my mom said that they wish to have done it, why would I give myself that chance? What do you only have the option of either succeeding or failing. And when you fail, you have the option to get back up and try again. No one's stopping you except for yourself.
That's right.
And that's what I mean, most kids nowadays, some kids are not as strong-willed as that, and they give up easy. And I can't say that's for the other, I'd say about 25% of that 50% that wants to be entrepreneurs, that's what they end up failing. It has nothing to do with their knowledge or what they're doing or what industry they picked. I think it has solely just believing in yourself. And we get discouraged because that's where that social media comes in hand, where it helps us believe at first, but then it can have the opposite effect down the road where you can feel discouraged because you see all these successful people in the same industry, and you can feel discouraged. And I feel like half of that 50% that tries to grow a business fail just for that reason exactly, because they just feel discouraged that it's not, you know, it's not happening right away. You know, my generation has a hard time, even with the entrepreneurs, has a hard time with immediate affirmation or knowing that, you know, getting instant results. Because we are so used to technology giving us instant results when we want it, when we need it. And business doesn't work that way. Business works by what you put in, you get out, and you got to be willing to put a lot of time in. You have to be willing to cry on your knees every now and then, and know that, you know, what you're doing is right. It just might not feel like it at the moment.
I
And
love
you
it.
just
Everything you
gotta
were
keep pushing.
saying. Yeah. As I was going to ask questions, you'd answer it. I was thinking in my head, oh, let me ask them about, you know, competing or comparing ourselves to others, because social media is so different, you know, now and it isn't always the truth. You see these people out here, oh, look I just bought this new Mercedes. I'm
Yeah.
killing it. And yeah, no, you're probably 100,000 in
You're seeing
debt.
the tip of the iceberg. You're not seeing all that work that they put in, and people don't have to tell themselves that, you know, what you're seeing is a lot of years of hard work.
Yeah.
And you're only seeing a year of it because it took them that long to be able to produce the results and the footage and the outlook that they want on the social media, which isn't easy, because I mean, it all depends on where you live and how you live and where you're located, and the people around you and your support system, and how well you are at networking. There's so many variables.
Yeah,
But you
I
know, that's
definitely
where
want
we
to.
want.
I want to get back to networking and marketing, but what I want to share with the listeners, if you don't mind, is like how you got here and what it was like. And I talk all the time, my listeners and I. It's like we're all friends, and we just have these conversations. And I'm very transparent about. I've mentioned you on the podcast as well as your sisters and our past previous experiences. Being neurodiverse, so he's ADHD as well as how I am, and his sister is as well. So as Noah was growing up, he was very, very strong-willed and strong-minded. And Noah is the child of my three that I can just look at or think about, and he makes me laugh. Your personality, it was so perfect for what you do now for sales, which your mom absolutely hates sales. But I want to tell everyone some of the struggles that we went through, me as your single mom. Now, I was divorced from Noah's father when he was 10 months old. So he never knew his father and I together. And then the partners that I had after that, it was really me and Noah all the time. Like, he was my buddy. But man, as he grew older, we started to, run into sort of button heads. How do you view, and this is a scary thing for me to ask, but how do you, I'm sort of scared. How do you view how we did as a parent and son? When you think of your upbringing, how do you, God, I can't believe I'm asking, how do you think I did? I'm asking for a report card and I'm scared. What do you think we did really well, and what do you think we struggled with?
Well, as far as the way I view it, dramatic for sure. We were both very dramatic. I think it goes both ways for sure. I mean, I probably was more dramatic than you were. But I mean, what we did well was, we knew we only had each other, and we knew at the end of the day there was nothing we could do to avoid each other. Most parents and kids, they have the other parent or child to run to and vent to. We didn't have that option. I was so far apart from the older girls that, they were out. By the time I was like 13, they were already moved out or had kids or whatnot. And me and you had to figure out that we had to communicate to each other no matter what was going on and how we were feeling toward each other. And that's what I felt like our strength became, was that we knew that we had to communicate. And regardless if we got into an argument or not, 10 minutes later, we'd be laughing or just talking to each other sternly. I mean, realistically, I don't look at anything that we did was wrong. I really don't think there was a downside to your parenting or whatnot. You did with what you could. Same thing works for me. We deal with, us children deal with what we're given and or what cards we're dealt with. And we made the best of it. And there was moments where, disciplinary was not the strong suit because you don't have that ability as a woman. I mean, one thing I figured out being a grown man now is, there's really nothing you can to do to a boy, at least being from the divorced relationship, with dad being a little bit more physically constructive. There was things that, I definitely took advantage of because I knew you were very soft and you were very nice and you never wanted to physically harm me or anything like that. And which, any parent can respect, because every parent, I think, wants to slap their kid every now and then, as they should. Because
let's interject and tell them about my favorite story. And I don't know if I've ever told this on the podcast, but I don't know. I think you were in junior high, maybe high school. And Noah was the hardest kid to wake up in the morning. He just didn't want to wake up. He didn't want to go to school. Every day was a struggle. And I would literally just wake up and cringe like, oh, what's this morning going to be like? Because every day it's like, I'd have to go in his room 10 times. Come on, get up, get up, get up. And he was cranky. And I'm not a morning person either, so he gets it from me. But one morning I'm making toast and he's cranky. And I said, hey, make yourself some breakfast. And he wasn't having it. It had nothing to do with me. He was just cranky. And what happened, Noah?
We were arguing in the house, and I kicked rocks out of the yard.
I said, do
And
not slam the door and do not kick the rocks. And what
that's
did
right.
he do?
I
He
did exactly that.
he kicked the rocks and he slammed that door. And I'm in my robe and I'm trying to butter my toast. And what did I do, Noah?
You ran outside with the butter knife, and the neighbor said your mom ran at you with a knife.
Jeez, to the bus stop.
In your robe was the best part. I think that was the cherry on top. Was if you were in normal clothes, it probably just would have been like, oh, and they're arguing. But this was like, oh, they're arguing. Like,
I hit my max. I was just like, you little, my favorite word was punk. You little punk.
Yeah.
And he's just walking to the bus stop and he looks behind. I'm like, oh shoot. Mom's really upset this time. And I go faster. He goes faster.
I did. I ran.
We must have looked like absolute like crazy people. Why nobody called the police on us? I don't know. But it was those moments. God, it makes me cry from laughing. It was those moments that we had, and we learned communication. And I'll say this: the moment, and one of your friends' moms, Robin, helped me with this because I watched her do this and I really started to absorb it. It was when I stopped trying to give you advice or stopped saying, you should do this, you need to do this. And I started saying, what do you think you should do? Or how did that work out for you if you made a bad choice? Instead of saying, I told you so, and you need to do things my way, I really consciously made a choice to start saying, I think it was when you were 18 and you were an adult, to say, what do you think? Or how are you going to get through that? Or do you have any coping skills to get through that? We worked on breathing for, anxiety and emotion control and overwhelm.
I was like, dude, it was a little bit earlier than 18. I think I was like 16.
Okay.
I think it was like 16 or 17 is when we started. It was really after that the hardest point in any kid's life is being 15. 15 is just that weird age for any kid. I think anybody can agree with that. I don't think anybody's had good memories being 15. But I think after the 15 stage, and once I started getting a little bit older, things started clicking, and it was just like it got exhausting for both of us to argue all the time. And I think we both got really just sick of it, and we just finally were like, look, we need to be adults about this and just communicate and talk. And once I started coming across to you that way, it really, that's where I feel like it really clicked for you too. That's where you were like, oh, this is really working. Like, what she's telling me is working. And for me, it's, it goes for everybody. How you approach somebody is how they're going to react. And I feel like, it was just us. We were always so used to loudly expressing how we feel. People always said we were yelling, but me and you we just talk very loudly. People are always like, man, you guys are fighting. And I'm like, no, we're having a good time. We were laughing over there. Like, oh, I thought you guys were arguing. And it just comes down to, really figuring out how to communicate, and really just to tone it down. I mean, I remember just the volume of our conversations just completely dropping. And that's what really kind of rocketed, the better relationship between me and you.
You said something to me that was really pertinent at that time period. And you said, I would say, you need to show me respect. And you said, you get respect when you give respect, Mom. And that was kind of a turning point for me to step back and be like, oh my God, I need to change these generational things that have happened in my family for years and stop preaching at you or telling you, do as I say, not as I do. And you really opened my eyes. And of course, you've always been just this you're my miracle child who wasn't supposed to be in the first place. You've saved my life when I was feeling suicidal. You've always just been this bright light in my life who always made me accountable, to myself and made me see things. And always you're good at making me flip the script and flip my perspective on things. And I think that's why you're so successful at business. I think you're carrying your innate talent and beauty and passion and perspective into being this entrepreneur, and you're benefiting, like you said, the freedom. When you were sitting in that kayak taking calls, that's the beauty, I think, of ownership. I mean, going from corporate to now what I do, I get to have a freaking conversation with my
100%.
son in the middle of the day. Like, it's amazing. So I think that's why you're talented. One of the things we've talked about is networking. And I am like, I shudder when I think of networking. Everybody knows that I can't do networking events. I'm an introverted extrovert. But you love.
I shine. I shine when I network. I mean, people who have been doing this for years come up to me and they're like, "Man, whatever, you are just incredible. You literally just have no problem talking to anybody." And I think it goes along with was my upbringing. Was I was in this weird stage because we had a very nice house. We lived in a pretty nice neighborhood, an HOA neighborhood, and but we didn't have a lot of money. So I was very caught in between, I had a lot of rich friends, but then they didn't want to hang out with me because I was kind of poor and I didn't have parents that could just pay for stuff to have me go to vacations with them or whatnot. And so I chose to hang out with a lot of the poor kids because I related with them. I understood. And for me, I think that really comes down to, talking to different demographics. I was really used to talking to so many different demographics being just a kid. I mean, whites, blacks, all of them, rich, poor, all of it. There was no difference between any of. I had white friends that were poor. I had white friends that were rich. I had Mexican friends that were poor. I had Mexican friends. It didn't matter. I mean, really, it was like everybody. And the rich kids always, treated you like you were poor. It didn't matter your demographic or anything like that. But I learned to I was always able to bring the two together. For some reason, when I hung out with my friends, I could bring the rich kids and the poor kids, and I could talk to their parents. And I was a little ladies' man, so I was good with talking with adults. Parents always loved me. I was always very respectful, and I rode around. I mean, I was riding around on a longboard from when I was 8 years old till I was 18, and I would go to stores and talk to adults who are working at the stores, just have a conversation with them. Some 13-year-old boy, hello, how you doing? Oh, yeah, how are your kids doing? I just was a talker. I really feel like it was just the confidence that you instilled with me for sure. I think that just shot up. You always allowed me to have confidence, and so I never feared what anybody thought about me because I had so many friends. If you didn't like me, I had plenty more to go to, and I knew I had my own support system, whether it was my friends and my family. And but I love networking. You get to meet so many great people. I really enjoy picking people's brain. I would love to do psychology in the future and really do that just because I love how people think and how they operate. And everybody is so different. Every individual, the way people are made is just amazing because you can meet people with similarities, but everybody's got differences and everybody's got an amazing story. And that's why I listen to your podcast because it's, you get to hear that's where I feed off. If I just feed off people's experiences and being like, well, that's a really terrible experience and look what they're doing. I have no excuse but to keep on going. So,
my DNA is flowing thick in that boy's veins. That makes me so happy. You have no idea. I'm just full circle, everything you ever want for your child
resilience
to be.
I really feel like what you taught us was resilience. I mean, there'd be times where you'd be broken down and you weren't sure what was going to happen next, but you stayed by and you stayed resilient. And that's what I think every kid takes away from most of their parents. For people who've got great parents and at least parents who've tried, every kid sees that. Even if they don't recognize it, they see it, and it does impact them no matter what. Because I've seen kids, who were poor, but I mean, I had more respect for the kids that had poor parents because you always saw their parents trying. You always saw their parents trying everything they could to make that kid's life the best it could be. And you saw rich kids who got almost no attention from their parents. Their parents would give them everything, but not everything. They would give them all the material stuff that they want, but they don't give them the emotional need. And those kids were most of the time having a lot of problems in high school, with anxiety and not having to handle people because daddy and mommy are not there to make it better for them. And for the kids that grew poor, those kids' parents did say, you have to figure it out. You're going to have to figure it out. I can't be there to save you. That's not how the world works. And it is tough, but that's what makes, that's what I felt like what makes everybody a good adult is, being resilient and being strong and knowing that the world is not perfect. It is actually the opposite of that. It is for you to make perfect. It is for you to decide what you like and to surround yourself with the things and the people that truly make you want to succeed and do better.
Yeah. Yeah. Boy, what a great perspective, because you can have all the things. A lot of people think money and things are going to make me happy, but yet you're missing the connection and the fulfillment. And then over here, you don't have all the resources you would want, but yet you do feel fulfilled because you're cared for and someone's got your back and they love you. And so when you become an adult, you have to kind of reconcile those two things. You got to marry those two things and be like, what do I want? Can I create it? Or do I feel sorry for myself? Do I expect people to give me stuff? Or do I know I have to go out there and work for it? And I love that perspective. And I'm so proud that shone through. Noah and I, again, because it was just the two of us, we, during the financial crisis, we were at risk of losing our home. The mortgage was a lot. And so I went and got a second job. And someone had said when I was dating, that's really selfish of you to get a second job for Noah, because Noah, it's not fair to Noah. And I thought, well, at the time I thought, no, it's very fair to Noah because I'm providing this stability and I'm showing him we don't give up. We do something. And on the cool part of it is Noah came to work with me too. He came and he was bussing tables while I was serving. And that's interesting how someone can view that as being selfish and, whatever, where I saw it as, no, I'm going to teach him. We don't give up. Everybody was foreclosing and getting bad credit. And I said, no, I'm going to figure this out. I got to get through this for my son. If nothing else, he deserves this stability from one parent, right?
Right. And what I think, them saying that is it's really not your decision to be able to decipher whether it's selfish or not, or it's not their decision or yours, really. It's really up to the kid. If I believe I remember you asking me like, hey, do you think this is gonna be okay? You asked me, is this going to be selfish? And I said, no, if that's what you have to do, then that's what you have to do. And I mean, and that's where I felt like, I was always told, you're the man of the house. You have to do what you have to help me. You have to help me. And that's where I probably just stepped in and was like, well, if mom's gonna work, I might as well go work too and not be at home sitting on my butt. That's where I believe I truly was always an entrepreneur. I mean, I literally used to sell Smarties. I used to sell little bracelets. I used to sell candy at school. I would do me and my friends would grab our old toys from McDonald's and do little corner sales, cookies. And, I mean, when it comes down to my entrepreneurship, I definitely felt like that work ethic was always there. For sure. I don't think I ever, whether I learned it from you or not, I feel like it's a God-given gift because I just never wanted to be on my butt. I wanted to be either making money or hanging out with friends. And honestly, I always knew making money would allow me to be able to do more stuff. So
I love that. Yeah. And you didn't expect things to be given. I mean, I took care of your needs, but I couldn't always take care of your wants. And
right.
Yeah, you had a lemonade cookie stand, and we had nice neighbors who would buy a cookie for $10, which was, but I think it definitely got that in your blood. Like, hey, and you'd have little mini garage sales on the driveway. And I love that. I definitely think, I think that was something that I tried to do differently from my upbringing, was for you to see money in a good way, even though we had lack at time as a single mother trying to pay all those bills. We had lack, but I was trying not to make you see it as a negative, instead just trying to make you see it as well, we can find a way, we can create this, we can make money work for us. So I love, just the fact of where you are today, and that you took the leap, you took the risk, and there's nothing a mother could ask for more than her child's happiness and contentment and following their passion. My gosh, to the parents out there who have these expectations on their kids to go to college or join a family business or whatever, you know what? Let it go, because they're going to find their way. And Noah is a prime example of he figured it out. And there were times I was on the fence, like, man, is he going to make it? Is he, oh my God, I don't know. But I knew his soul was so beautiful and so determined and so resilient. And the networking part, you were a talker, you were around adults your whole life. And so it was a very natural thing. And I appreciate the confidence comment that I always wanted my kids to know, you guys can do anything you want to. Don't let anybody tell you any different. So what do you think? We talked about how it's so different with social media today and marketing. So what do you think is really the magic recipe for the successful business? Do you have to network, and do you have to market, or do you have to do both? What's a good recipe for making your business work?
Every good business owner will tell you it's all of the above. It really is like doing it all at the same time. I mean, and it's really just like, you're on the poker table, and you basically have to throw money down on every bet, and really have to figure out what's going to work. And it really comes down to your demographic of what your area is around. Because I believe more networking helps really well with smaller towns. Because it just has, you're making more of a bigger stamp when it's a smaller town. Now, when you're out here and you're in Phoenix, Arizona, and you're doing junk removal, I've got 75 companies dropping a day. So it's hard to make your stamp. So you have to sit there, and I back off the social media, just in my personal opinion, or not social media, but the Google aspect of the marketing, because it's just not worth it for me out here. It's just kind of, that's a difficult question, because you really have to do everything. And I'm not going to say that I know exactly what to do, because I have a ton of experience. I see the results. But being only in business for less than a year, it's still something that we have to figure out, for every business owner. And networking, though, for me, it works for me. And I started myself out. I threw myself to the sharks, starting my business off the bat. In junk removal, your slowest time is October to the beginning of February. And I started December 1st, and I went full-time December 1st, and I've been unemployed. I haven't been on a W-9 since then, and I've been on my own payroll, and it's tough. I'm still figuring out what I did. What my strategy was to go super strong on the networking, so I can line up connections for my busy season. I thought of it as loading up my magazine before I shoot it. I was like, I need to fill this magazine. This clip's got to be full before I can shoot the gun and start blasting off when it starts getting hot. Because hot season in Arizona, nobody wants to touch anything. Everything gets hot. Nobody wants to be working in the hot. That's why we strive here in the summer. And elderly people can't be in the heat too. So, and a lot of them pass away. Unfortunately, that is a lot of junk removal's job security is assisted living in Arizona, and Phoenix area is just a retiree state. So we have a lot of people passing away. But
what would you say, like, when it comes to, say one of your friends is like, I'm going to talk like one of your friends, dude, I want to start a new business. Okay, that was terrible. But if one of your friends was like, I want to start a business and I don't know the first thing about doing it, I know my experience, I've been scammed by a few people, and it was not small money. It was big money. And especially in the life coaching and authoring business, everybody wants to sell you something for marketing. We'll make your books. They'll sell millions. we'll get you 10,000 clients a month as a life coach. How do we decipher? How do you help a friend who's starting a business to decipher which things to choose or not? Google and Yelp will come at you and be like, we'll put you in the very
the shortcuts. Those are the shortcuts to me. In my mind, a lot of social media is just trying to shortcut it, and it is definitely a necessity. But if my friend wants to start a business, my motto is always there's the hard way and there's the harder way, which is always going to get you farther. The quickest way, the easiest way is always the less gratifying way, because you might get like a fraction of what you want doing things the easy way, but you're not going to get the whole thing that you would want if you just did it the harder way, which always tends to be, just the better way. Because if you do the hard work, you get out what you put in. And if they were going to start a business, I tell them right away, you need to get a networking. You need to be your marketing. Your person needs to be your marketing. You cannot rely on other tools. All these, the tools today are great, but they're very temporarily. They're very temporary. I don't know.
Temporary, yeah.
Yeah, temporary. Yes. Because it works for a certain amount of period, but then there's always a new, better way coming out. So then you're like, oh wow, I just threw $2,000 on this marketing, but now this one's the better way, and I can't get that money back. Well, a lot of great businesses, one my wife was doing, it was just where they sell products, and they are a huge company. They're a $1 billion company, and they spend zero on marketing. Zero. They do not spend nothing. Their salespeople are their marketing. They speak for their products, and those people, there are millionaires out there just from selling perfume and just home stuff, just your stuff that you buy every day on regular stuff. Is it easy? Absolutely not. When you figure it out, it gets easier. And once you get a hold of that skill, it's something nobody can take away from you. Now, anybody can be good at putting money down on an account and letting it roll. Anybody can do that. That to me that's the easy way, because it's easy. Anybody who's got $10,000, anybody can sit there and put $2,500 each day and be like, let it roll. Okay, well, what is he doing? He's just sitting down on his butt on his couch waiting for calls to come in. And yes, we all pray to get to that point, and we all pray to be able to do that one day. But I guarantee you, nobody starts off that way unless they're retired and they worked their entire life already. And they're like, hey, junk removal is easy. That's why a lot of the companies out here that's the only reason why there are so many companies. People are retiring here. People have this extra retirement money, and they're like, hey, I got a pension. Like, I'm going to go buy a dump trailer and go get it wrapped, and let's do this. And they can do that. And honestly, I think they deserve it because they worked their entire life to be able to do something like that. So kudos to them. But for somebody who's 25 or younger or whatever age wants to start a company that doesn't have that backup, you're spending by the penny. It is a risky game. You are walking in the casino with $100, and that's not a lot of money to gamble with in the casino. That money's going to go, it's going to be gone in a second. So how I view the best way is, I tell anybody that wants to start a business, you have to be willing to get in front of people. You have to be willing to talk to them. You have to line up that schedule. You have to, and that's one thing I figured out is I thought everybody was doing this. I thought everybody was going on Facebook or Google and like looking up networking near me, trying to find every single one they could find. I mean, on my first month, I did 12 networking events. That is quite a bit. As far as what I hear, people never do that. People are telling me I might do like once a month. Like, that's crazy. And I just got blasted by a great lady on Facebook. She's a realtor, and there's this special networking event that she has, and I was like the first dude to ever walk in, and it was crazy because I felt like I was like in a retirement home because everybody was looking at me. Everybody's a little bit older than me. Everybody's like 30 and above, and everybody is just looking and staring at me like, who is this kid? What does he do? Why does he even know where he's at? Like, this is some college kid. This is not like an alumni event or something. What are you doing? And it was because, the people constantly say, like, how'd you find this? And I'm like, I just look online. I look up near me, and you guys are like the third one I've been to today.
I
they're
love
like they're like, what? You just have to be willing to put your boots on the ground, find what you want to do, and chase it. You can't sit. There's a country song that just came out. If you got a dream ain't gonna chase you back. You got to chase that. You got to chase that dream, and you have to be willing to put the boots on the ground and go for it. You do feel vulnerable. I couldn't tell many times I'm scared at these events. Like, who's gonna sit here and tell me, like, oh, you're just some little dude you just got a trailer, you just got a truck, like, is it wrapped or anything? Like, no, I've got magnets, I've got a really nice painted trailer. It's a little bit smaller, but I offer the same amount of volume. I can back up what I do because I'm a professional in it, and I hold on to that, and you
and
can't tell me any
everybody.
different.
Right. And everybody has to start somewhere. And the thing that shines with you, Noah, is your belief in it. And I remember when I was half in the corporate world still and then doing life coaching part time, it really dawned on me, if I don't believe in this 100%, how do I expect clients to believe in it 100%? I had to give up that belief that the corporate was my security. And I love it shines that you have this, just you believe in it, and you're going to make other people believe in it. And that really, I love that. That's funny that quote you quoted from that song, it stuck out in my head when I heard it as well. I was like, the dream's not going to chase you back. You have to go for it. So
Yeah.
as we wrap up, we've got a few minutes. I have two things I want to know. Excuse me. I want to know, what are maybe a couple of really funny junk removal stories that you have, because listeners, you have no idea. My son is 5'6" and about 130 pounds. He is completely lean, mean lifting machine. He does boxing as an outlet. He's really good at boxing, but he shows up and he single-handedly picks up a refrigerator and throws it in a truck, and people are just like, who is this little bionic man? But tell us some either weird, creepy, I know you've done some hoarder houses. Tell us a fun, interesting story about junk removal.
Oh man, where do I start? I mean, there are a lot of dirty situations where a lot of people are in heavy situations. I mean, there's one time that really sticks out to me where this older lady, she was the grandmother of her grandchild, and he was doing drugs, and he had a very small little midtown Phoenix house, probably one of the first neighborhoods in Phoenix. Like, they are crazy small, little town, little tiny brick homes, and I mean, there was so much black debris from the trash that had decomposed for so long around the property. It was like this black mud. And they went to go show me what the inside of the property went up. And I was going up inside of a one-story house. And it's teeny tiny in there. I mean, the house is probably like 900 square foot. Like, it's really small. And I was walking up this mound, and there's this guy sitting down on a chair, or like on a mound, and he's ashing his cigarette, and it was the top of the refrigerator. There was an ashtray he's sitting there. That's how high the debris was. You were ducking underneath the arches of the doorways, and that's where we sleep. And it was like, you had to go over this little mound, and in their room was a little pit with a foam pad. It was like literally like a little pit. And I walk out. I'm discussing with the grandmother how many loads it's going to be. It's going to be like 11 or like 15 loads. It's like a crazy amount. It's a huge job. And we're in an alleyway. And this woman, there's this couch laid down on its side. This woman starts just ejecting needles in her arm and is taking drugs, like, as I'm doing the quote, about 5 feet away from me. I mean, literally, she is. I literally had to tell her, like, can I step over here with you and go do the estimate? Because this is just too much for me. And I watched another lad next to her want some, and they shared the needle. Like, she just pulled it out, and he stuck it in him like it was no problem. I'd probably say the other.
You have to be careful when you're doing stuff like that, so you don't get stuck or injured. I know you've had injuries. Tell us like safety wise, what is required when you're in that kind of a profession?
I mean, you're in full bodysuits and we don't touch any of the debris. You solely are using snow shovels and trash cans. When it's a job like that, all the employees have to make sure they're not touching in the debris unless it's like a tire. You know, if it's something that you can honestly physically pick up and know that it's clean, you're good to go. Other than that, it's got to be snow shoveled and trash canned, and it's got to be disposed of right away. Um, I would say the next story that I'd say was pretty crazy was this house that was kind of the same scenario where the parents didn't know their child was doing drugs, and the house was completely covered in cockroaches, or the apartment was. And it makes me sad because I know there are people around that apartment that have like major festation problems. They're like, we're clean, you know. There was like, you would take the picture off of the wall and there would be a perfect little square of cockroaches. Like they were like just standing there, and we were in full bodysuits for those two, and it was like the cockroaches. So when you start taking the items off of the wall, the cockroaches only know but to go up, so they go on the ceiling, and they start falling, and you have to wear, you know, you got full bodysuits, so you're wrapped up, and you got full respirators on, and it's tough because in the summer it's really hot to be in a full bodysuit and your clothes, and to be pushing stuff downstairs and upstairs. It gets hard, but that job was definitely, we called that job a rainy chance of cockroaches. We thought that was funny. They just kept cutting. You just have to wipe it off. My friends were like, oh, you know, I'm so used to it. I've been in so many scenarios where, you know, if it's not bed bugs, I'm not freaking out. You know, bed bugs are the only time that it's super hard. You know, you really don't want to touch anything except for like what's on the tip of your gloves and whatnot.
You know, your mom's biggest absolute fear, and I don't have many fears, but that's my biggest thing is cockroaches. They have lived through time. They're indestructible. They're disgusting. And I had a terrible incident when your dad and I were dating, and we were in a really kind of lower income apartment when we first were teenagers and moved in together, and we had the lights off in the apartment, and we were talking, and I got up to
walking.
I got up to go to the restroom, and I turned the light on, and there was a cockroach on my hand, and I went to shake it off, and he wouldn't come off. His little feet, like whatever, like his claws were stuck in me, and I was just like, yeah, I couldn't get them off. So that was a story your dad and I had as youngins in our poorer days, starting off as teenagers. But oh my gosh, I just love this conversation so much, and I always end it with sort of a fun little segment question, or sort of a little thing that I do. And this segment that I'm doing currently is called "What'd You Get?" So that is, what gift have you gotten, or what kind of gift have you ever received, or what is something that you just remember, it stands out for you, that was like the coolest gift or even the creepiest gift? I along those lines, like this Christmas, my son, listeners, got me the coolest neon light that says on air, and it's got a microphone, and it's right above me. I'm looking right at it, and it just makes me so happy. It brings me joy when I see it lit up. So what can you remember of like the best gift you've ever gotten, or the coolest thing that you've gotten?
Oh man, I as a child, I mean, there are two like major toys that I remember. I'd probably say I'll give the first one. I'll give the first one the spotlight. I think we were in the condo, and it was really hard. You know, you were trying really hard at that time. It felt like a time we were struggling, at least. And you got me this like lowrider Chrysler 300, and it was super big. I mean, it was literally as big as like a small storage tub. Actually, not probably like almost the size of a full storage tub, honestly. And you could plug your MP3 on in the back, and you put it in the trunk, and it would bump music. And I had that thing for quite a while. And shoot, it might even be why I love my Magnum so much. I mean, I might just subconsciously love that toy so much, where I I got my wagon that's got the same. It literally has almost the same rims on it. My actual Magnum has almost the same rims as that little car does, and is almost as loud. I love that thing. That thing was cool. I mean, the second one was probably the little electric motorcycle. That was really cool. I was like one of my biggest gifts that I had ever received, and I rode that thing around like crazy. Biffed it a few times, and man, I had some great times on that thing.
I remember that. Yeah, it was like a little mini crotch rocket sort of. And oh
Yeah.
yeah, you were such an active kid, and that's cool. It was never really video games. I mean, you had a Game Boy, but that was not like your main focus. It was always like fun stuff. I forgot about that Chrysler. And when we were in the condo, it was post divorce from my second husband, and it was just us. It was me, you, and the girls. That was actually one of my favorite Christmases, because I took you guys to Walmart, gave you money to go get gifts for me because you wanted to go buy me presents, and I sat in McDonald's and I read a book, and I just remember what you guys got me. You were adamant about buying me this cross necklace, and you were, my gosh, 5, maybe 6 at the time. And you were so proud of it. And the girls came back and said, Noah picked this out specifically for you, Mom. He would not let us help him pick anything out. He wanted to pick it out. And it was a little cross, costume jewelry. And I cherished it. So thank you so much, Noah, for being on the podcast today. Let us know where we can find you if someone wants to have you as a guest on their podcast, or they want to hire you for some junk removal, or just network with you as a business owner in general. Tell us where to find you.
All right, yeah. You can find me on Facebook, and you can just simply look up Summer Breeze Junk Removal. You'll find it. You'll see my face with a cowboy hat. You can't miss it. You can also go on my YouTube channel as well. You can look up Summer Breeze Junk Removal. Will pop up. You'll see my logo. My logo is one that you can't miss because it looks just like me. As well as I believe my Instagram. You can look at the same thing, Summer Breeze Junk Removal LLC. We are up on there. You can give us a call. Look at the great work that we provide, as well as Google. You can check out our great reviews on Google, Summer Breeze Junk Removal, where you can check out all of our great reviews where people love our work, talk about how personable I am, and how I help and serve the community around me. Other than that, if you guys want to email me, it's summerbreezeland with 2 D's at gmail.com. So give me a call, give me an email, whatever you guys want to do. I appreciate the podcast, Mom, and I'm just out here. I'm not your car salesman. I'm not your plumber. I'm just your friendly junk guy.
I love it. And I'll have all of those links in the show notes for you guys, for anyone who wants to comment. And of course, you can always come through me as well. Don't forget, for any life coaching, dating coaching, relationship and confidence coaching, I'm here for it and for you at lifecoachmaureen.com. And don't forget our puppy boutique at mydogiseverything.net. We've got healthy treats, no preservatives or xylitol, anything that's harmful to your puppies, as well as lots of accessories, handmade bandanas, and dog scrunchies. And last but not least, my books. My dog is more enlightened than I am, and my dog is my relationship coach. And do not forget our children's book for your little babies. My dog Bexley is just like me. So I love you all for being here. Once again, go subscribe, go like, go review. If you want to be a guest, if you have something to say about this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful young man in front of me. And yes, I am absolutely biased, but I am super proud at the man he has become and everything that he's doing in the world. I'm so proud of him. He is a definite ray of light that pays it forward to the world. And he's just a very kind soul. And I couldn't be more proud that he chose me as his mother, although he doubted sometimes why, but I think we're good. I think we're all right now at this point in life. He's happy he chose me. But thank you, listeners. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And most of all, please take care of those furry babies. Be sure that you adopt and do not shop. I love you all. Until next week. Mwah.
Thank you for tuning in to the I Never Knew podcast. If you found today's episode inspiring and educational, please be sure to follow, subscribe, and spread the word. The more people that join the Ink community, the more it can develop and influence others as we work together for a healthier and brighter future. Until next time.